Hello and welcome to Whispers on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog, and UPRN, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network.
We are real tonight.
Yeah, we're real tonight, so everybody that called in last week, you can go ahead and call in again this week.
We had calls.
I know, I called once. It's 608-609. Time just changed. Numbers here, 304-214-1600. If you're out of the area, call us toll free. 1-866-514-1600. If you're listening on the UPRN, we'd love to hear from you. Tell us where you're from, what you're doing, what you like. I'm Jordan Klein here with Nick Queen, and Steve's still here. Our lovely Lola Miller.
I just not used to all these people just fighting over me. Somebody called and said, well, if they were dividing me up, he wanted my head.
Guess it's better than other parts.
Well, that's true.
Jeez Louise.
I'm not going there. and that has many possibilities.
Easy, Lola.
Not that kind of a show.
I'm glad you guys are back. We did have phone calls. In fact, somebody called me out in the office, while the show was going on, wanting to know how she could get the phone answered in here because she wanted to win a prize. And I said, no, I'm sorry. I have made the announcements that, this is pre-recorded, the best of, or so we thought. That's
I'll tell you what, how about tonight? We got a little bit of time before the show ends. I might give something away.
Okay,
we start getting some balls. We got some DeCarlo's Pizza from Elm Grove.
Oh, that's good.
Who sponsored our food for the Penn trip. So we'll give away some Elm Grove DeCarlo's tonight. It'll be delicious.
Don't start. I have food over here tonight. I have stuffed pork chops.
Ooh.
I have an Asian salad. I have banana split cake. People were kind. I depend on the kindness of strangers.
Why can't I get any food?
Because you don't whine enough.
I will whine like crazy. Somebody bring me in some of that. I got some chocolate milk. I need something for it to wash down.
Yeah.
I buy him the chocolate milk and you bring it out to him. And he's like, what's this? Like chocolate milk. Why is it so small? I mean, you see what he carries in? He carries in gallon-sized
Yes, he does.
jugs.
How big is it? Let me see, a pint?
It's the normal.
It's a
little thing. That's a cup.
And how am I? Look at me.
I know.
What is this milk going to do for me, Lola?
However, you should thank Nick because he thought of you.
Yeah, Nick's quite the fella.
So how was your trip, you guys? Did you get some good ghosty things and things?
I'll tell you what did happen. We went to Virginia Beach for a day, and I bought this towel, and it's supposed to say Virginia Beach at the bottom, calling coffee, but it was misspelled. And I'm going to go with the fact that they just misspelled it, and I bought it. But,
What does it say?
You're turning red.
I don't know if I could say it without having to hit the dump button.
Does it say what was on those West Virginia T-shirts a few years ago?
Steve shaking his head yes, probably.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, geez.
Female anatomy.
It's very close. They left out the last I. So
Yeah,
it just kind of
Virgina.
Virginia Beach.
Mm-hmm.
This was his favorite part of the entire trip.
That's what they get for having it printed in China.
Yeah, there's no spell check. I got a tattoo as well.
For real?
Yeah, it's real.
Is it, Nick?
It is real.
And
here's real ink and a pen.
He paid $50 for it. Yeah.
Where?
Down in Williamsburg.
No, where on your body?
My hand.
That?
Yeah.
You paid $50 for that?
Listen,
that's what I said.
Okay, give me your other hand, and for $25, I will gladly decorate your other knuckles.
Yeah,
but listen,
I will give a description.
They have
he
to
has
open up all the equipment and
green and blue star on it.
It's not blue.
It looks a little
green
bluish.
and black. But here's the thing: it's not healing right, and this is what's making me mad. Because when it's peeling off, are you gonna laugh at me?
Laugh, Lola.
See, it's like splitting open when it heals, and there's no color underneath.
There, Mike. Don't worry, that's your scab. That's how you get away with scab.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I just paid all that money for this little thing.
It reminds me of like a Rainbow Bright kind of thing.
Why don't you go for a headset if you can sit here?
Come on,
I
Steve.
mean-
I don't know Steve to be this quiet. Steve Novotny, ladies and gentlemen.
He's
Here's,
just
That's
shaking
what I
his
don't
head.
get.
here's the radio god, Steve Novotny.
Now, see, your tattoo, you still have scab.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes off, you may have to go to Greg's or somebody, Hot Rod, I don't know, one or the other, and have them touch it up. But
He's
I
thinking about
think
just
tattoos
filling
look
it in.
better when they're scabbed.
Yeah.
And
They're
then
bright.
when they, when they get flat,
Yeah, go locally, Jordan, and then you can get one on the other hand for about $20.
yeah,
Well, see, locally they won't give you a hand tattoo unless you got your forearms done.
you're
So that's
kidding.
why I had to go. Yeah, I tried.
Now, see, and where'd you get that done? Virginia Beach.
Somewhere in Williamsburg, actually.
Okay, because Myrtle Beach, you can't get. They're illegal. Tattoos
Yeah, you
are
can't.
illegal.
Really?
Virginia Beach, because I checked there, it was like 3 miles off the beach you could get them. And then Myrtle Beach, geez,
You can't.
I went to a tattoo place. I had to drive like 2 hours off
Yeah,
the beach because
yeah.
that's where my mom lives, is Myrtle. We had to drive 2 hours just to find a tattoo place.
And
Pretty
you
tough
think.
covering up a hand.
Yeah. I could
Oh,
put a
and by
ring
the
on.
way, did you check the label on the beach towel to see where it was manufactured?
No.
Okay. Bet you it says China.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking. There's no.
Do you still have it?
Oh yeah, I used
Hanging
it. I
on
was
your
in the
wall?
pool yesterday.
Oh.
You gotta support the towel.
Made in China. Where do you think the Washington Nationals uniforms came from
China.
that were misspelled? Where do you think the West Virginia jerseys
I
came
never
from?
heard about that.
That's where everything comes from, Steve. It's not.
Somebody just called and said, unfortunately, when that scab comes off, probably so will your tattoo.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me see this.
Why? What did they say? Why?
No, but no, he didn't say why. And I asked him to come on the air. He couldn't. But no, you're not keeping it well lubricated.
Well, it came off. I put it on before I left.
You gotta carry A&D ointment with you everywhere you go.
Listen to the lecture.
Hey, I've got 3.
Hey, see you, Steve.
Bye, Steve.
Well, this is my third.
It is.
Yeah.
You have tattoos?
I'm a decorated man.
He's the painted man.
See you, Steve.
Have a good one. What is it? I'll just take it down to the locally. Support the local.
Yeah.
Because now I've
Well,
already
once
got
it's
one,
done,
so they can do it.
Yeah.
I'll probably have them fill it in black too.
Mm-mm.
Big black, rawr, big
Why-
and beastie.
Just explain this to me. Why did you choose to have it's on his ring finger first knuckle? That space in there.
See, he was wanting a ring tattoo, and then he comes back with a star, and I'm like, why didn't you get the band? I thought he wanted a band. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like my wife wants a wedding band,
Mhm.
it's tattooed on her finger. And I'm like, why didn't you go,
Get the band.
get
Yeah.
the
Well,
band? And
here's what the guy said. He was like, "Yeah, we'll go all the way around." I was like, "Well, how bad will it hurt?" He was like, "Well, it's not going to feel very good at all."
So that's why I was just going to ask
And I was like,
you.
"Well, I don't like pain at all, so let's just go
so they
with
gave
the
him
star."
they gave him a sticker.
Oh, you're a jerk.
What they give him?
A sticker.
Aw.
That's why it's
That's
filling off.
nice.
Well, that's what he's calling it, a sticker.
Well, that's kind of. Just you paid a lot of money for
That's
that.
all right.
That's a lot of money.
Greg's and Hot Rod will fix it.
Yep.
All right.
So, did you find, aside from your tattoo and your misspelled beach
Ask him, did he
blanket,
go to Williamsburg, like the actual Williamsburg, the reenactment or anything?
did you? You
I
did.
I did. I love history.
I know. Did you? No, you didn't. You
No.
called me.
I went to Hooters.
You try and you try, Nick.
You try to get in culture.
I-
You see what he does. He gets
I
ripped.
know. I know. He goes and he defiles his body, and I don't know. So, did you learn anything?
did.
you
It was
have
a lot
any
of fun.
experiences?
No, I didn't have any experiences. There were a lot of. They do like ghost walks and stuff in
Yeah.
Williamsburg. I wish I would have had a chance to go to one, but I don't think they were even there the nights we were there.
No,
we were
they,
early in the week, so it was. But it was a lot of fun. It
They were
was-
all like weekend trips and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so we missed out on those.
But I would like to go back though and do something like that.
Got to do the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum. That was pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Saw a lot of things there.
Mm-hmm.
The tunnel. The tunnel. They had this tunnel, which is probably where we spent the most of our time, where it spins around and it makes you feel like you're disoriented trying
Yeah.
to get through it. That was probably.
We spent like 20 minutes running back and forth through the tunnel. Yeah, that's what amuses us, Lola. That's the depth of our personality. Look, it's a spinny tunnel. Whee! Woo-hoo-hoo-hee-hee-hee.
Oh
was
my.
nice.
Oh, I bet
Yeah.
the beach was nice.
Yeah.
Did you have
think-
good weather?
Oh, it was
nice.
like 90 degrees.
Yeah, we talked to somebody here that day it was like 50 here and like raining.
Yeah,
drizzly.
it wasn't nice.
It was and
the
it was
day I had the
90 where
dog
we
here.
were at. So
Yeah, because I brought Gretchen
yeah.
to help me pass the
Yeah,
time.
like when I called you, you said there was a storm coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
Nice.
like, huh, it's nice out here.
Yeah, I just love people like you.
Oh, I love you
wait.
too, Lola.
You just wait. You just wait.
Well, no, we drove when we came back on Thursday
Mm-hmm.
and we left. It was 80, 90 degrees when we left that morning. We got into Maryland, like right near it was the Uniontown exit to get gas.
Yeah.
You could see your breath. I mean, it was crazy. We get out, we're like all wearing shorts and stuff,
We're like, ooh.
and just freezing, and people wearing coats around us. And I'm like, what am I doing? So I got a long sleeve shirt, started bundling up.
Yeah, there was like 9 of us all bunched together. We were like, wow, it's so cold.
When you're coming back from Florida, now granted it was January, but you leave Florida and it's 80, 90 degrees down at by Miami, and as you're driving home, you're not paying much attention until you have to stop for gas, and here I am in shorts and flip flops and just a little summer jacket on. And it was like snowing, and
One of them.
hate
things.
that. Hate when that happens. So, boys.
All right, next. We
Next.
also, picks from the pen. We,
I need help, Nick, getting mine.
Okay. You can just give them. Do you have them on a disc or something?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll help you.
They're in my laptop.
Yeah, I'll help you get them off of there. We'll put them up. We actually have them. I put them on Casa.
Uh-huh.
Which
I
is
just
Google.
heard about Picasso.
Yeah, and so if you go to our website and you click the link, it'll go to the folder with all the prison pics that we've received. We haven't received really too much explanation on them yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to try to email those people back and say, hey, can you give me some, what are you seeing here, and so forth.
and if you're listening, go ahead and just send us the email, saying, hey, this is what this picture was, this is what this picture was. And that way we can put a little bit of explanation
Yeah.
underneath it, because we're getting emails saying, okay, you have
What is this?
you have
Yeah.
something posted and I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So-
Did you get John Salva's?
I'd have to look.
His came. What's the fish website? Snapfish.
Okay, at first.
Okay, that's
I didn't get them
how
off of
he
there, no.
sent me. He sent them to me, but he's the one who has the pictures that the date stamp is right at the beginning of the tour. Then when we were all down together in the Sugar Shack, and he took that picture at the same time that Kelly and John were smelling like hot burning wire.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He took a picture. You can see from Barb's hand this like stream of light
Yeah.
going down,
I remember looking at that
and
one.
the date was wrong. And then the pictures later on in the evening or in the morning when we were getting ready to leave, the
All had
date
the right
is
date.
right again.
It's interesting.
So, but his are on Snapfish, and I've got them, I think, in my emails here, so I could transfer them over now. But yeah, mine are just in my computer, and
Okay.
We'll get them.
I've
We'll
got
get 'em
them in
up
a
there.
separate folder. I figured out how to do that. But yeah, like Steve, a lot of people want to see them, and I didn't know how to do it.
If you go to whispersradio.com, the very first little thing is check them out here, and you click on it, and you're there.
Okay.
I think Nick put like 30 some pictures up that
33,
we got.
I think is what we have up there. So, yeah, 33 of the last thing I wanted to mention before we get our guest on, I'm working on getting the Paranormal Handbook website that we talked about last week
Mm-hmm.
put together. I'm kind of playing around with different formats for the website. Jordan doesn't like the one that's up there right now. It's not really growing on me either. So I want to find something that's easy to use for people to just be able to go on without having too much knowledge of how to type in and make
Yeah.
build a website. I want them to pretty much be able to just type in the information and go for it from there,
Mm-hmm.
and finding a system that works well for that. It's taking a little bit of time, so I'm just going to take my time, figure out something, and then we'll keep you updated on what's happening there. So
Okay. Well, one thing, we had a phone call earlier, too, from someone, or maybe it was Bill DeFabio, one of our other hosts, but someone that's toured and had experiences on Alcatraz.
Really?
Yes, he has been there and, was asking me all kinds of questions about like Al Capone's ghost and things like that. And you know what? Once I started thinking about it, you hear other stories, well, about like our penitentiary here and other places. And yeah, I don't know that I've ever heard of really any stories about Alcatraz being haunted. And you would think that it would be as equally as bad as ours is.
Well, the pen is known to be like one of the bloodiest prisons that ever was.
Well, I know Alcatraz, at least they had the worst of the
Rock.
worst there.
Yeah.
So, if anybody knows of someone that perhaps has had experiences there that we could have on as a guest, drop us an email or something, and Nick can get in touch with them.
Nick can do all the work. The email address is whispers1600@gmail.com. So if you know anybody.
But Nick is so good with people. He's a people person.
I don't know how I do that.
Only in the written word. I want to say that. Also, UPRN people, we want to welcome you. Say hello to our little Wheeling family. Call us. I think we got a phone call, Nikki. Maybe.
No, I think she's calling our guest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So.
Our guest tonight. Let's talk about her.
All right. Well, we're going to be talking with Heidi Hollis. We had her on before. Talked to her about her book, Jesus is No Joke. Her experiences with, meeting Jesus, going to hell, all kinds of things. And this time we're going to be talking about with her. She was one of the. I think she was actually the original researcher of shadow people. We're going to be talking with her about Hat Man, evil entity. She, people have drawn her pictures of what they saw, different entities and stuff. They, out of the corner of their eye, and one that's always shows up seems to be is this. Of course, shadow with wearing a hat.
No, Hat Man's like the kind of like the devil character, right?
I think so.
I think that's how she explained it.
And so, some people see shadow people, shadow animals, all kinds of different things. So
now that's what's at the pen too, right? They say it's.
I think they coined it as the shadow man just because it was more of the silhouette of the person than anything else. And of course she's the expert, so we'll be asking her about that. But these are things you're seeing out of the corner of your eye, kind of. I mean, have you ever? How do I get this? The best way I can think of, you're looking, you feel like you're seeing something out, you kind of jerk your head around, because you think you see something. That's kind of what they're talking about. So, we have Heidi.
Yes, we do.
Hello, Heidi.
Without further ado,
there you go,
Miss Heidi Hollis.
Hey there, how are you?
Good. We were just talking you up a bit. How you doing?
All is well. I just took a look at your website. The name of the book you guys have up there is wrong. It's Shadow. You have Shadow Wars. It's The Secret War.
Oh, I am so sorry. That was I'm an idiot.
That's okay.
I'll have it fixed. And I even have the actual picture there too.
Yeah, I saw that. That's cool though.
I'm sorry. I'll fix that here in a second.
It's all good.
Well, that'll be fixed.
Awesome.
So, tell us how you're doing. What is this shadow people? Because we were just talking. Is shadow people like people that are shadows? Are they, just the things you see out of the corner of your eye? We're kind of having a debate about that right now.
Oh, should be so lucky that there was just people that were shadows. No, I started calling them shadow people independently of hearing people even refer to them as well as shadow people, because they kind of resemble a person. But I call them to myself. I have like different ones. I called one like a head and shoulders because it looks like he has no neck and his head is directly connected to his shoulders. So, but I call them shadow people because they just kind of had that general form, but not always. I mean, they change from being a little cloud to a streak to a cat, different various types and shapes. So.
Where exactly what are they? Where are they from? I mean, is it?
Well, interesting enough. I could go into detail with kind of where I came to my conclusions
Sure.
about that. in my book, The Secret War, I mean, here I am, I'm writing this book on a topic that no one has ever heard of before and no one's ever spoke of before, and I thought that people would think I'm absolutely nuts. Here I go, writing The Secret War, and I had initially had, some UFO type encounters, and where I'd seen some UFOs, and then one time woke up and there were several grays in my apartment, and I was just, I thought it was hilarious because, I've seen these guys on TV. I never saw them anyplace else, and I'm like, hey, those guys I've seen. So to kind of make a long story short with what happened with that, I essentially was able to get rid of these little grays, and almost immediately after that point, I started seeing these shadowy masses showing up around my place, and I'm like, give me a break. What's going on here? First I see these little guys, and now I see these big hulking masses, and they were rather nosy and rather imposing. But to be honest, I had seen them one time before, which kind of, made me realize this is something that could be a lot deeper than what I originally had thought when I saw them for a second time.
Yeah.
It was a few years earlier that I don't know. Are you guys? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
We're enthralled with your. I don't even know if that's the right word.
Oh. Well, it's funny because it's like a few years earlier, and it's like I have to give this background in order to kind of, come to the conclusions that I did. But a few years earlier, I was living down in Iowa with a friend's family, and one of my friends and I, we were walking in the broad daylight from one destination to another, and I saw this shadowy thing jump from tree to tree, and I looked, and I'm like, it was kind of out of the corner of my vision. I'm like, did I really see that? What was that? And as we continued to walk, this thing continued with us and went tree to tree, bush to bush.
Now, how big of a thing are we talking about here?
Oh gosh, this thing, probably 8 feet tall or more.
Oh jeez, okay. I'm thinking it could have been an animal, but yeah, that's
no
animal would do that. Yeah.
No, and I mean that would be one humongous flying squirrel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And here I'm seeing this thing. It follows us to our destination, and I'm just like, I don't dare tell my friend. And reach our destination, turn around, come back, about an hour later, and it followed us all the way back. And by that time, I was just beside myself, and I'm like, look, I don't know what I'm seeing, but I just saw this thing following us, and I drew the guy that's on my website that I call Head and Shoulders. If you go to shadows.ufo2u.com, and I drew this guy out. And I'm thinking my friend is going to have the laugh of her life, thinking I'm nuts. And I showed it to her, only for her to say, oh, that guy. And she's like, I don't know who he is. He's been following me since I was a kid. And I'm like, what? Her dad walks in the room. She's like, oh, look what Heidi saw. Oh, he's showing up again. And I'm like, hold on. What's going on here? This is bizarre. And lo and behold, I had to go upstairs. I was staying at her family's home there. I had to go upstairs to get something from my room, and it was still daylight, and it was like one of those type of attic-like second floors where the windows are low on the floor. And went in. I didn't feel I needed to turn on the lights to go grab my stuff, and turned around, and that guy was standing right there, blocking my way to get out of the room.
Wow.
See, that's your mistake. You didn't think.
You gotta follow the rules.
Yeah, and I had never felt such a presence of evil and something wanting to reach out and rip my throat out. It was just god awful, and it was hulking. It was leaning over me, and I don't know where it came from for me to know, just don't swing at this thing, don't run, just keep your composure and take a deep breath and walk through. And
And were you able to just walk through it?
I did, and people have asked me, well, what did you feel when you walked through it? I'm like, I was so numb with terror, I don't remember much of anything. Just, got to keep moving my legs and walking as steadily as I could, going the full length of the second floor to get to the staircase. And when I went down the stairs, I practically collapsed. I was just so petrified, and told my friend, oh my God, he was up there, and it was a threatening manner. So when a few years later, when I met with this new presence coming around my place after these guys from TV called Gray Aliens were in my apartment, I'm like, not these guys. Why on earth are they showing up to me? I didn't have problems with anything like that. Not demonic. I mean, I'd grown up in a haunted house, but not whatever this thing was. And so to get to your question, where they come from, it took some time for me to come to the conclusion that they were actually the ones in charge of the gray alien beings. And it's like, well, how do you go from A to B? It's like I had no way of finding information about these shadowy things. No one had ever mentioned them. No one had ever researched such a thing.
Can I interrupt you just a second?
Sure.
You're saying that the shadow people are controlled by the Greys or control the Greys?
They are in charge of the Greys. And to how I came to that type of conclusion, I have a background in ghost research, having lived in a haunted house, and UFO research, having witnessed UFOs and things of that nature. Going into whatever realm this was absolutely new to me. So I had later on, I had a college roommate, and she and I both began to witness a strange phenomenon going on where these balls of light and things like that would show up in the apartment and attack a shadowy looking figure or whatever was in the apartment at the time. And it's like, did you see that? Yes, I saw that. It's like, okay, I'm not crazy. It's like, no, you're not. It's like, what's going on here? It's like a mini war going on. And my friend, although she had witnessed these things going on, she had a hard time accepting that, this was alien related. She's like, not till I see a UFO, I believe that this is what's going on. Although she saw these partially see-through, like, aliens walking through the apartment and would draw them. She was a really good artist, and I have several of her drawings up on my website. And I'm like, well, what you drew there is called an alien. It's like, that was not, that was not a ghost. That was not anything else. So,
well, how do they look different to you? Excuse me. How do you know you're looking at a gray instead of a shadow person?
Well, because the features were distinctive. You could see the eyes and the slits for the nose and the slits for the mouth. But
could the shadow people then that you're seeing be like some kind of camouflage that they're using? Or?
No way possible that these shadow people are. And it's strange to say. It's like with contact that came a little bit later with myself and my college roommate at the time was a more positive type of alien contact. And I mean, first, I was a college student. I had things to do. I wasn't trying to absorb myself into these things to come my way. It really threw us both off, and she didn't really accept it and didn't really talk about it. But she had an experience that really explained a lot of my understanding now in regards to the shadow people and the Hat Man. And what took place was she was driving to college in broad daylight when essentially an alien being that I've never seen really described anyplace else, jumped on the hood of her car and stuck its head through her windshield. As unbelievable as this is sounding, and for someone that when she would see something walking through the apartment or get a glimpse of something like a shadow person, she would scream at the top of her lungs. She was terrified with what she was seeing. And to have this thing jump on the hood of her car, stick its head through, and she said it had such a calming feel to it that she didn't freak out.
If I was driving and something jumped on my hood and shoved its head through my windshield, there would be nothing calming.
That's what I'm saying.
I would have messed myself, I would have wrecked, and I would have ran crying.
I was stunned that she did not, honestly, because I got this panicked phone call from her after she arrived at school, and just like telling me, as fast as she could, what's going on, and she's crying hysterically. I'm like, what? An alien? I'm like, all my friends enjoy poking fun at what it is that I do at times, and I could laugh with the best of them, but I just figured, oh, good one, alien, woohoo, stuck its head through your windshield. I'm like, just that you don't understand, and I'm like, wow, she's breaking down. I guess, maybe we should go meet up and talk or something. So we did eventually go, and we're sitting in the car, and I'm like, so tell me again, an alien stuck its head through your windshield. And she's like, yeah, and it was speaking to me telepathically, and it told me that I am the introducer for what's to come.
Huh.
And
now,
I'm like,
how is your friend mentally?
She was actually a very religious person and would call any of these things that she saw demons. I mean, your demons won't touch me, I've got God on my side. I'm like, demons, because she saw these see-through, ghostly, shadowy-looking things.
Now I am told here in the UPRN chat room that grays are actually more of a clear color when they haven't eaten. So.
Just what I want to hear. Well, that one must be on a diet.
Well,
All right, Heidi, we're going to take a real quick break, and we will be right back on AM 1600 WKKX and UPRN. The former West Virginia penitentiary housed some of the most violent criminals in history. Many of the prisoners who lived there also died there. It is known for being one of the most bloody institutions in the United States. Don't miss your chance to experience the former West Virginia penitentiary. Your tour will consist of an astonishing 90 minutes that offers an awesome history, a touch of art, cold hard facts, and an education of the justice system. Tours start at 11 a.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Visit www.wvpentours.com for more information. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, and it said brief nudity, and I'm going to give you 3 guesses on which one's nude.
Not me.
Nick?
No. Nikki,
You're listening to Whispers on AM 1600 WKKX and UPRN, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. It is 6:45 p.m. Couldn't tell you the degrees, but it's humid.
It is 82 degrees under sunny skies.
Yeah, no any clouds up.
If you'd like to talk to us, 304-214-1600 if you're out of the area, 866-514-1600. We're on the phone now with Heidi Hollis, talking about shadow people and grays and the Hat Man. How you doing, Heidi?
I'm doing spiffy. How about yourself?
Well, I always thought shadow people were something, kind of like a spirit or a ghost or something like that. I always thought that's what they were referred to as.
No. Honestly, it seems to be that a lot of people that are into ghost hunting and whatnot, they do bump into the shadow people. But I did not come at it from that perspective at all because of my experiences and now research showing that they have more ties to aliens than anything. And it's like I know it's like the story. It's so involved in what took place, but to bring it back to where they originally come from, having made a more positive alien connection. I'll skip over some of the details that my friend made, and these more positive beings talking about those shadow things that you've been witnessing. They are essentially the puppeteers. of the Greys, and people often wonder what's the connection between these reptilians, these praying mantis, these ones that like to do experiments and are abusive to people. What's going on here? And their connection is same with the Men in Black. Their connection are the shadow people. That these are conquered beings, races of beings that the shadow people are involved in controlling. And this is what they are involved in doing here now. That these Greys that are coming around, they are like the little soldiers that go and do the experiments that are trying to essentially build an army.
They're like the workers.
They are the
worker ants.
Yes, and their main focus are to create a half human, half alien human hybrid that essentially is under their control but can live upon the surface of the earth. That the shadow beings go planet to planet, and we just happen to be the next one in line. They don't come to us as we are. They don't come to us in the daylight when we're able to protect ourselves. They come to us in the middle of the night when we're most vulnerable and try to have their way in creating these hybrids and performing these experiments. And I'm like, for myself, from what I was learning in regard to these shadow people, I'm like, hold on, this sounds very much like, the devil, demonic things. And essentially, this is what was being directed to myself to that yes, this is what was written of in biblical times. That the devil that sits on your shoulder, that tries to pull you in one direction, feeds off your mirror negativity. A lot of people have stated that they feel that these Greys and reptilians, that they do things to try to evoke fear and horrible emotions from them to essentially see how they'll react. And once their fear is gone, they leave. And if there is no connection when it comes to Greys and shadow people, why on earth do they respond to the name of Jesus? Why do they leave when you say in Jesus' name?
Well, that would
get
put
out of
it
here?
more in the spirit realm than the alien realm, then, right?
Well, who's to say that they're not as spiritually evolved as we are? That they have the same maker and creator that we do. And I'm beginning to, I'm involved in knowing that these guys are essentially what was written of in the Bible, that, they could take on any form. They like to feed off from fear. They like to influence fear. They like to influence negativity, the negative thoughts. And it's a scary thought as to what they're up to. And, for some people that think, they just might be, ghosts or spirits, or I've even heard the shadows of ghosts. And it's interesting theories and everything. But
I've heard that the shadow people are ghosts.
Yeah, that's what I
until you've met one.
Okay. Well, that's one thing I can cross off my list of must-dos.
Yeah, no, until you've met one. And when I wrote about the shadow people, no one was using that name. I wrote this book in '97, and I was stunned to hear and get the letters that I did from all over the world of people and having seen these same beings and all calling them the same name. I mean, how is that? I mean, it's like this inert knowing, who they are and what they're about. These things, what they like to do, their number one pastime favorite is jumping on people and choking them. So, just showing up.
See, but that to me sounds it sounds like a demonic thing.
Exactly. And
it sounds so much more demonic, because aliens, if you get into like the alien realm, aliens aren't really there to scare you. That's not what they're about. That's more of a spiritual demonic thing. That's
the thing. With these lovely abducting alien types that I consider to be quite negative, coming in, taking people against their will, performing horrible experiments on them, and doing as they wish, essentially. They're not positive. Why are they afraid of the name Jesus? Why do they leave when they hear it? I think that they're essentially from the same dark source that the shadow people are from, and from what I've personally witnessed and had others write to me about, shadows right alongside of gray alien beings. So what's really going on? And yes, the demonic nature of shadow people, that is exactly what they are. And why I called my book The Secret War is because there is truly a war going on between the more positive and the negative beings of our universe. This is the war in the heavens that have been written about for centuries, that between good versus evil. And but it's an individual battle. It's happening to us on an individual basis. How perfect of a war to wage on people that are not communicating so readily with each other what's happening in their bedrooms at night. It's like, it sounds so profound, must be sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
How perfect. I wish that there was no association to them as being demonic, but it is what it is with the aliens and the shadow people. And there are positive aliens out there. There are, but they are not the ones that come and abduct people and do things against their will. They talk about God. I don't like to mix the subject so much. People think, oh, you're saying worship aliens. No, I'm not. I'm saying that there are some beings out there that recognize, the same creator, and it is what it is. And they're trying to empower people individually. Here are the shadow people have done this all across the galaxy, and you're the next planet in line. This is what you have to do to defend yourself, because we're not like puppeteers. We don't come in and try to infiltrate and change things. You have to stand on your own and defend yourself. But we're so blockheaded down here. We don't like to acknowledge we have souls, for crying out loud.
So just so that I get it connected in my brain. Okay.
Yes.
'Cause it's hard. I've never heard like this connection before. It's like my brain's kind of numb. I'm kind of trying to figure it out myself here. Now, okay, the shadow people are aliens themselves from another galaxy, planet, whatever, that have taken over other planets and now control their population.
They're like the United States of the galaxy. We go in and take over.
So now the shadow people and their army of new races are attacking the U.S. or the Earth
world
to take over.
It sounds like a sci-fi movie the way you put it, but
I'm trying to connect it all. I'm not trying to.
Oh, I know.
Sound like a movie.
It's funny because I was the first author researcher on it, so it's actually the original thought about the shadow people that was put out there in regard to who they were, what they were doing. And there was no other source to go from because no one had spoken of them. And I came at it, fully innocent of knowing anything about anybody else, what was going on. So to say they were actually living upon another planet, these shadow people, I personally don't know. Were they? I believe that they come from a dark source. I think that they originally came from a dark source, and just as I believe God is a light source, positive, negative. There are creatures that have been written of for centuries that have appeared to people that are not human looking. Today we call them aliens. Back in biblical times they called them demons. I don't think there's much difference going on here. I think that incubus, succubus, dark entities raping, men and women alike. Well, what are the aliens doing? They're doing the same thing. And it's always associated with darkness, and it's truly disturbing what's going on. It's like it's so easy to, for people to laugh it off and just like, that stuff, it's like, but the letters that I get are just they're heart-wrenching, and it's terrifying, and we're not taking it serious enough. And I'm doing my best trying to get the word out there. I wish they were just ghosts, but I've had ghost hunters, pretty well-known ones too, that I'm just just like, Heidi, I was pretty sure that these were ghosts, and then one looked at me. It's like, I've never felt such fear in all my life. It is so dark. And in regard to, like, the information that I got from the more positive entities of the universe, I guess you could say that we're talking through my friend. These shadow people, they I would say I'm losing my train of thought, but
let me interrupt you real quick.
Yeah,
We've only got 3 minutes left before we have to cut. I want to make sure we go over your book.
Okay.
Your new book is called Perfect Prayer or Picture Prayer.
Picture Prayers.
Pictureprayers.
Pictureprayers.com. You could go to that's essentially a different way of praying, a visualization from an angelic encounter that taught how the angels communicate to pray to God and are essentially showing their manner of praying. So it's pictureprayers.com, and for your listeners, it's a special to pick up the book through my website there. So it's
how much? That's an autographed copy for $15, right?
Yeah.
Through your website.
Yes,
wow,
through my
that's
website.
a good deal.
Yeah, it's something totally unique and different. And I always felt a little guilty in the way that I practiced praying and whatnot, and to find a different way to pray visually, and to have it come from an angelic source, that was pretty incredible. And trying to share the story about that. So.
Well, Heidi, listening to you talk about the shadow people and things, it's almost like I think sometimes it might be easier to equate it to angels and demons as opposed to aliens, regardless of what you think their original source is.
Exactly. Angels and demons. That's what we're dealing with, and it the same tactics that have been taught for centuries on how to deal with them works. Shadow people, difference between them and ghosts, shadow people will follow you if you think you can move away from them.
Well, maybe it is just demons and angels as opposed to something from another planet.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I do. I know what you're saying, but it's at one time we thought God lived in the clouds, but he's not in the clouds. So where is he? Is he on another planet? It's like I say, that I made was through, my alien research, UFO research, and it just so happened to go that route and that name alien, but it's demonic. It is demonic.
All right, Heidi, our website, give it to us one more time.
You can go to shadows.ufo, the number 2, the letter U.com, HeidiHollis.com, and pictureprayers.com.
There it is, and grab her new book, Picture Prayers, for $15, autographed from the website. That's exclusive to our listeners. Heidi, thank you very much for your time today and your outlook. That's very interesting. First time I ever heard it.
Well, I look forward to coming back on and chat some more.
All right, have a good day.
Heidi.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, it's time for 7 o'clock break. We got the news coming up, and we'll be right back on WKKX and UPRN. Open sea. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to hour number 2 of Whispers Radio here on WKKX, AM 1600, and UPRN, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. I am Jordan Klein. He's Nick Queen.
I am.
She's Lola Miller. And joining us now is Sammy the Bull. Oh, did she turn your mic on?
She got me now.
There we are. Yeah. Sammy's a friend of the show. He's coming in to hang out with us for a while.
Yeah, I had to stop in and do some stuff on the other side, so I swung over here.
Sammy's one of the fellas that does the morning show here, so he's hanging with us.
He does everything here. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Now, Nick, we just had Heidi on.
Okay.
How did you feel about the connection she made with the shadow people and aliens?
I think I need to hear more. It's hard. I mean, I understand the explanation you gave, and I can kind of see that there's a lot of different entities maybe out there, but I need to hear more.
Just in the short time, I guess we had her on, it was like she just connected like 2 random things. I mean, I guess they weren't random, but like as far as the paranormal realm goes, you're either like an alien guy or a UFO guy. You know what I mean? You can't just say, oh, well, the ghosts are controlling the aliens.
No, she's not saying.
No, well, I know, but
that's
what it kind of felt like, because
I think what she's trying. I think what she's trying to say is that the shadow people, we're thinking of them as kind of this ghostly kind of spirit thing. What she's saying is that there's something different, that they're an alien species, just like the Greys are alien species.
But shadow people are like the demonic entities.
But that's what you've always said.
That's
what she's saying is, no, there's something different.
I think
they're aliens. They're just really evil.
Well, I think what they're you know how you can walk into a room and somebody is in a really bad mood, sending out all these negative energies, and everybody in the room gets ugh. Once they leave, everybody's energy level picks up, everybody's in a better mood. What she's saying is that they thrive on the negative energy, just like we all thrive on energy of some form.
Yeah.
But they seem to draw and thrive on the
kind of like a psychic vampire kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
And I think my only problem that I have, because you always hear, those people are evil, or it might just be making it a little too simplistic, as all of the shadow people are evil. And all, kind of.
I don't know. She didn't seem to have a good thing to say about any
of
them.
No,
I know
but
what
you
you're
see what
saying.
I'm saying, though, is that everybody feels it, and and that's everybody has the same. Which I understand they're here for a bad reason, supposedly. I equate it kind of to the Nazis. We think of the Nazis because they were very evil, and they're conquering different places and so forth.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
And
if
they're
that's
using,
what they're doing.
I think I just need to hear more about it. I've went through her books, but not really to examine it. Like really quick read through. So.
Good thing he reads.
Yeah, one of us has got to, right?
I know.
All right.
Well, we do have our guest, our second guest.
Okay, well, were you talking with Stephen Bassett of Paradigm Research Group? Are you with us, Stephen?
I certainly am.
Yeah,
how you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing fine.
Of course, this is your fourth or fifth. You've been on here more than anybody else, so everybody should know who you are. What we're talking to you about today is the last time you were on, and I can't remember the exact date of that. It was sometime in May. You had said that in June, that by June 1st, the Obama administration should release their information on UFOs and everything we know about them. And I think you said something like or else, or not really giving it a threat as much as
something's going to happen.
Yeah, you're putting them on the line right there, and still nothing released, of course, from the administration. So
what are we doing?
Yeah,
what are we going to do?
Well, we're going to turn the heat up, and that's already underway since June the 1st. Throughout 2008, we did two things. One, we expanded the Disclosure Movement Network into Europe and elsewhere, and a lot of new sites and people got involved, which was needed. And we also introduced the issue into the presidential campaign, that huge, massive campaign with all those candidates and debates and everything else. We got the issue in play in a number of ways, on radio, on TV, CNN, Fox, all that. All right, fine. That was preliminary. Then we launched Facts on Washington at facsonwashington.org, November 5. Get all the letters we can in emails and into the transition headquarters for the 77 days of transition. And that was done, and including a lot of exposure to the issue on change.gov website, which is the transition website. Then phase 2 began January 21st. That's, of course, the inauguration. They moved the next day. The president moves in the White House, and then all the correspondence was directed there, faxes, emails, letters. Mm-hmm. All of this correspondence in these first two phases had fundamental talking points, all of which were at facsonwashington.org, and still there in archive. We want the president to be briefed fully, except nothing less than whatever you need to know, everything you want to know. 2, congressional hearings the groundwork needs to be laid for those. We have witnesses ready to testify. Amnesty for people who want to come forward and talk about this issue without concerns for their national security. We want the technology out. There's tech we're pretty certain, I'm certain, that has been obtained from ET sources, from crashed or shot down vehicles. They've been working on them for 60 years. The physics behind those crafts could really change the dynamics out here in the real world, where we're up against apparently quite a few problems. We want that technology. We want it now for peaceful development. And then ultimately, of course, we want disclosure. We want the United States to acknowledge the ET presence. So that was in those letters that went in for 200 and some days. Okay. Then the message was sent out during that period as well by press releases, media appearances, and then also National Press Club press conference, April 20. in which Edgar Mitchell called on the administration to disclose, and we sent the administration a basic message that if you don't, you need to disclose soon for 3 reasons. One, if you don't, it's going to become your embargo. It's going to be Barack Obama's truth embargo, like it was the previous president's.
Yeah.
And now you're going to have to address the public about why you sat on it and why you didn't tell us. And, of course, that is the end of his open government, transparent government reformist pillar. It's gone, blown up, nothing left of it. 2, we need that tech now. You've convinced us. You and a lot of other people have convinced us we're facing major crises. Environmental, national, terrorism, the threats of population, infringements, wars over water and food, melting ice caps, holes in the ozone, giant patches of plastic in the Pacific. Look, we get it. But don't just tell us to inflate our tires and put a few solar panels on our roof or recycle a couple of cans and that's going to fix it. We need serious tools to do this. And if there's tech of transcendent nature in government labs developed from ET craft, and we can't have it because you can't admit the ETs are here, that's no good. And so the upshot was you need that tech now. And then the third reason they need to do it is because, for those that are paying attention, the message is clear. Quite a few countries have pretty much had it with our procrastination on this. They know there's an ET presence, and if we don't do it, they're going to. And the 3 leading candidates are France, the United Kingdom, and China. And they will acknowledge the ET presence. And the United States, I guess, will just sit there, with a paper bag over its head? So that was a clear message, and they didn't disclose, which I'm not surprised that they didn't. They also haven't acknowledged that they've gotten any correspondence. I'm not surprised about that either.
Okay, so they're not even admitting that you talked to them.
That this issue is there. They're not admitting they're getting any correspondence. But I expected that because they can't let the cat out of the bag even a little bit because the whole thing will jump out. So they have to play it close to their chest until they're ready to act. I understand that, which is why we're just going to keep the pressure on. So didn't disclose, June 1, pressure goes up. Now, how are we going to turn the heat up on the administration? Well, actually, it's not that difficult, and here's why. What happened as of June 1st, and it's already underway, well underway, we changed the target. It's no longer the White House, the president. Where the president lives, kind of up there and upstairs, we shift to the right, to the West Wing, to the press briefing room, and the target is the White House press corps. The White House press corps, all those fine journalists that are in that room every day, Monday through Friday, interacting with the administration, asking them the questions they want to ask. They have more influence and they have more access to the administration than all the political journalists in the world combined. As it happens, they're represented by one organization, the White House Correspondents Association, the WHCA.net. It's a monopoly. Well, okay, fine. And we're not going to send the letters to each individual journalist. No. These letters and correspondence are now going to the White House Press Corps, care of the White House Correspondents Association. And, of course, if you go to faxinwashington.org, you will find the address, the email, and the fax number, and the email contact page for the WHCA. So now we're going through that door. And that door doesn't have nearly the level or degree of correspondence that comes in the White House door. So when these letters start turning up there, they're going to have far more impact and be far more noticed. Now, what are we sending them? What's the gist here? It's pretty straightforward. There's 2 kinds of correspondence that are going in there right now. 1, everyone who has sent a letter to the president already on this is being asked to copy the White House Press Corps, care of the WHCA, saying, "Hey, I sent this in February. I sent this in March. This is what I sent the president." I want the press corps to have tactile evidence, paper, fax stuff, whatever, emails in their system, showing that this correspondence has taken place, right? Proving that it's taken place. I'm taking my word for it. And also, they need to know the issues that were in play, the disclosure issues, the one we mentioned. And then I want all of them and everybody else that can hear this message, and this message is going all through the internet, it's all over. They need to write the press corps right now. But what do they need to write them? Actually, it's real simple. It's a simple message. It's time for the press corps and all of the political press in Washington, those covering the Pentagon, the CIA, the Department of State, to start asking the questions about this issue, the ones they haven't asked. The simple fact is that this embargo could have ended, this truth embargo could have ended any time in the last 25, 30 years. All it would have taken is for a handful of reporters at the top end, 3, 4, 5 tops, digging in, biting down on it, and start asking the right questions and demanding appropriate answers. The truth embargo couldn't last 3 to 5 weeks. One of the reasons the embargo has lasted is they simply haven't asked those questions. It's been don't ask, don't tell. Well, the media is coming around. Thousands of articles are being written around the world in English language mainstream media. I know that. I'm reading them. I'm archiving them at ParadigmResearchGroup.org. And the level of the coverage is moving closer and closer to the top tier, which is doing things from time to time. CNN, Fox News, even ABC, but not appropriately. But they're doing stuff. So the oil has risen. It's risen to the surface. It's about ready to come out. They're ready to go, but they need our help. And so this fundamental message is we need you to ask the right questions, and we expect appropriate answers. Now, to help that process, at faxonwashington.org, already you will find there 15 carefully crafted questions, which are pertinent, which are politically connected, and fully supportable. How supportable? The links supporting these questions are right there in the questions. You can go and you can see photos and videos and documents and FOIA documents and write-ups about the issues behind those questions. You can confirm their substance right there.
Give that website one more time so our listeners can go out there.
Fax, F-A-X, on Washington.org. It's all there. All right? And so they're going to be getting this demand to ask these questions. Now, look, this has been tough on the press. There has been a truth embargo. Virtually every member of that press corps, except for a couple, have never known anything but a truth embargo. If you're under 62, you've lived under the truth embargo your whole life.
Now I got a question for you real quick. I mean, you're using the press corps, right, as your new target to ask questions.
Focal point.
Now, what's in it for them? How are you going to turn them to your side? How are you going to get them to ask questions about ET, alien, stuff like that when we got so much going on right now? Like, how can we avert their focus to just throw in a couple questions here and there?
Well, avert their focus. They're supposed to cover the news, whatever it is. It's not a matter of focus. And the presence of extraterrestrials engaging the human race is the biggest news story in the world and the most important issue in the world. If somebody wants to make a case otherwise and say, yeah, ETs are here, but it's not that big a deal, I'm willing to listen to their arguments. Yeah. All right, they're supposed to cover the big stuff. This is the big stuff. Now, the fact is, you have to understand something. Reporters and journalists are smart. They're as smart as you and I, or smarter. And they're paying attention, right? Watching what's going on is what they do. Well, guess what? Half the American people who aren't reporters, by and large, aren't journalists, aren't paying close attention to the flow of events, already admit that the ET issue is real in polls. So you bet your bottom dollar, at least half, if not more, of all working journalists feel the same way. That's also true of Congress and their staff. So they're already, inside, privately, they're already over the line on this, but they can't. They're afraid to break out the truth embargo because they're afraid of blowback. That's where the correspondence comes in, because what these letters and faxes and emails are saying to them is that, look, we got your back. It's okay. We want this done, right? We know this needs to be done, and we want you to do it, and we're going to cover for you.
Have they been asking any questions at all since? Because I've been watching, kind of going through Google News and some other sites, trying to, figure out, is there something?
Oh yeah, we've been really looking forward to something big happening, so we've been keeping a watch.
Sure.
And has anybody been asking these questions?
Believe me, if it happens, you'll know immediately.
Yeah,
okay?
I was gonna say, and I haven't seen anything yet. So
no, we're 10 days into this. It's only getting warmed up, right?
Okay, I know.
We got.
Can we slip somebody a 50?
Look, we don't need them all. We don't need all of the White House press corps or the political journalists, but we need a handful. Look, when you go to faxonwashington.org, what you're going to learn about these questions is we're talking about a huge connection between the UFO ET issue and key members of the Obama administration and the Democratic Party. Major players in the world stage. Why? Because of the legacy of the Rockefeller Initiative. Lawrence Rockefeller's effort to get Bill Clinton to be the disclosure president, release all the UFO documents, reinvestigate Roswell, provide amnesty for people to come forward. He was even going to put an ad in every single newspaper in the country. This initiative went on for 3 years. There were a lot of people involved. There were studies, there were reports, a book was made, researchers came in. It all happened in the White House on the Office of Science and Technology Policy. And guess what? Here are the people that knew about it and in some cases participated in it. President Bill Clinton. I think he's still around. His wife, now Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. In fact, we have documents showing she was involved. They're up on that site. You can find the links. The key advisor to Clinton, one of the key advisors, John Podesta, went on to call for the release of all UFO documents twice at the National Press Club. The chief of staff at the time, Leon Panetta, now the head of the CIA. All right, and of course a close friend of the Clintons and a major figure in the administration, eventually becoming the Secretary of Energy and the ambassador to the UN, Governor of New Mexico, Bill Richardson, who ran for president.
Yeah.
These people are big shot
him.
players in the Democratic Party and members of the administration. They have never spoken about the Rockefeller Initiative ever. Now we got photos of the Clinton and Rockefellers together. We've got the videos of Podesta calling for the release of all UFO documents. We've got the link to the foreword that Richardson put in 2004 calling for the reinvestigation of Roswell. And most importantly, we have the total goods on the Rockefeller Initiative. And one of the reasons we have that is because of the work of a very, very important researcher by the name of Grant Cameron, Winnipeg, Canada. He has compiled the largest archive of information regarding the intersection of UFOs and U.S. presidents in the world. And it sits at presidentialufo.com. And the links at the questions page go primarily to the Clinton section, which is major and important, with write-ups about a lot of what we're talking about here, and photos and everything else. And I have a section of my website, and that's covered. We have the goods. Any press that go there are going to see this is real, these questions are important, they are pertinent, they are timely. And we've got other questions there, like, what is the response of the president to the call by astronaut Edgar Mitchell to end the truth embargo? The man is a legend. These are important. And we have, of course, links to the video of Edgar Mitchell calling for this at the National Press Club.
Yeah, that's a big one.
We provided the goods. We provided the backing. We've got the questions. All we need is the people to send the message to the press. We want you to do your job. And when you go to the first page of factsonwashington.org, what you will see is a nice photo of the White House press briefing room, and under it is a quote from Joseph Pulitzer. This quote was on a plaque given to the National Press Club in '62 by the Columbia School of Journalism, which Pulitzer founded. It was the 50th anniversary. And this is the first sentence from that quote on the plaque. It is, "Our republic and its press will rise or fall together." And if you followed the news for the last 20, 30 years, you can see that that's exactly what's happening. We are falling because the press is not with us. It's too much with them. And once they get on our side, we will rise together again.
Yeah, see, I was reading an article today about how, the press is just kind of fawning all over Obama, nothing can go wrong, and they're not really asking any questions to pressure him in anything.
In anything at all. Look at the war. We don't even talk about the war on newspapers and stuff like that anymore.
And we need, we don't need them to love. We need them to ask the questions.
Well, in the interest of fairness, as I'm someone who pays very close attention, look, Obama's getting plenty of heat from plenty of media on a lot of issues, because I watch all this stuff. Certainly he had the usual honeymoon. And that's fine, but in general, all right, and I'm not talking about just this administration, I'm talking about the last 60 years. But certainly the last 30 years in general, the top-tier media have not been tough enough, broad enough, comprehensive enough, and demanding enough. It's like we have a couple of investigative journalists, like, say, Cy Hirsch, and that's it, the designated journalist, and everyone else is supposed to just write down the talking points. As a result, issue after issue after issue has gone orphaned. It has not been aired, and the public is not getting a clear picture of what's going on and not able to input into the process of governance. And so things are getting screwed up. How much has to get screwed up before we get this message? Banks fail, corporations fail, wars of choice are launched, people are dying, planes are flying into our building, hurricanes are swamping our cities. Things don't get done. Government's not working, and one of the reasons is the press lost focus. It's on our side, not their side. The biggest issue in the world today is the presence of extraterrestrials. The press has not covered it properly. It's high end, so it's the lower end, second, third, fourth tiers. Great job, and thousands of articles are now pouring out. I mean, I've got them logged in on my website. So it's a bottom-up process. The top tier will be the last people on board, but they need to get on board now. That's what this is about.
So the job of the people right now that we need to focus on is getting to factsonwashington.com or .org. And writing out how we feel, ask the questions, and hopefully get them answered, right?
Throw a couple questions in there if you like. Pick a few out, throw them in there. But basically the message is we want you to do our job, and we want appropriate answers. If they start that process and they get even anything approaching appropriate answers, it will trigger a media firestorm, literally, in very short order.
We have a couple.
Go ahead.
How long is this phase going to last where you're focusing on the press corps?
Well, first and foremost, we need to focus in June. I mean, it's very important to be concentrated. All right, like a magnifying glass. You can't start a fire with a magnifying glass unless you focus the sunlight, right? It's got to be in June. Don't wait. Get it done now. We'll see where we're at the end of June.
Okay.
But let me make it clear. There's more signals every day that if the United States government does not finally end this truth embargo, another nation, either France, the United Kingdom, or China, most likely, is going to do it for us. And we will be history's backseat buddy. We'll be in the back seat waiting for somebody else to tell us where to go next. And worse, we will get all of the negative press, all of the bad PR from maintaining this truth embargo and this deception, which is legal under the national security law, certainly through the end of the Cold War, and none of the benefits of being the nation that brought it out.
All right,
that will go somewhere else.
Thank you very much.
We'll keep in touch. It's getting exciting. So.
Absolutely, it is. Let's pay attention, and I'll be happy to come back anytime if something breaks.
Factsonwashington.org. Go out and do your part. Stephen Bassett, thank you very much. We got to go on a break here on WKKX and UPRN. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Whispers, everybody, on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog, and UPRN, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. We just finished up with Steve Bassett talking about factsonwashington.org. Get out there and tell the government what you want released, I guess.
You just seem so passive about this.
I don't know how I feel about it yet.
Well,
give us a call, 304-214-1600 out of the area, 866-514-1600.
Stephen, I admire your passion for this and your dedication. But you know what? I'm more worried, and I think most people are, about if they're going to lose their job, if they're going to lose their house, if their 401k is going to tank any further. There are other things right now that I want my government to focus on than dumping out a bunch of papers out of some black vault somewhere, because that just ties up a whole bunch of, government workers taking their little black pens and marking all over them in the first place.
I'd take that job.
Well, I know you would. I would take the job if they offered it to me. I mean, once you get hired by the government, you can't get fired. But it just...
Sharpie's, the company that makes Sharpies, with their stock.
There you go. There you go. That's the one to buy, boy, if you're,
There it is when disclosure happens by stocking Sharpies.
Yeah.
You heard it here first on Whispers. Make sure to cut us in on the...
First stock tip we've ever given out, yeah.
Cut us in on the dealings after it happened.
I admire the man's passion. I'm glad that he has something that, occupies his time and but I just think that
it's all timing.
Well, and as we were saying in the break, you have all of these renowned White House, reporters in the White House press corps. Mm-hmm. You name me one that is going to have the balls to stand up and say, "Hey, Mr. President, tell us about those UFOs." They would be laughed right out of the place. And I don't care how anybody else feels in that room personally.
True. I think my one question, when would be the right time to stress it? I mean, it seems like at least in the last, 10, I'm trying to think back of when like a really slow time for anything going.
Slow news.
Slow news.
Slow news.
It's been a
It's
long.
Monday. It's a Monday.
Well,
It's
they've
been a
kept,
long
yeah,
time.
they've kept us in a war for so long
I
that
mean,
you know.
there's never going to be a slow time
Yeah.
from this point on. There's
Right.
always another country to attack.
Yeah,
jeez.
that's true. That's true. You know, my goodness, we can't have those boys coming home.
All right, I want to read this email real quick. We got a message from Dwayne Claude. Many of you might remember him. He's a demonologist that came on a few weeks ago, months ago,
About a month.
a little while ago.
Trigger my memory.
He was he talked about, and actually I think you'll even once we get.
Yeah,
in
he
the
kind of
email,
talked about this case, but I guess he's calling for everybody's help here. So,
I think you'll remember it. Yeah.
okay. It says, I am working on a very difficult case as we speak. The case involves a 13-year-old boy named Michael. Michael is in the thralls of demonic possession. In this case has been going on much longer than it should. He has demonstrated many earmarks spiritually, physically, and psychologically. It began June 2007 when Michael went into his first possession incident. He lives with his grandparents. One day, the grandmother watched his face change, his eyes grew dark, and he became enraged. He lifted a 200-pound recliner effortlessly over his head, putting a hole in the ceiling. He smashed his grandfather across the face with a stereo and knocked all of his grandmother's teeth out. The police were called, and he was taken to the hospital for evaluation. They found nothing conclusive, so he was released. The next day it happened again, but this time he was taken to the children's psychiatric ward for evaluation. While there, he was heavily tested by psychiatrists, put on massive doses of Thorazine, Ativan, and Seroquel. Doses high enough that would have put down 4 full-grown men his size down. It didn't touch him. In fact, the psychiatrist witnessed him lifting a nurse over his head and throwing her down the hallway. He was then transferred to another hospital of higher security. In all, there were 12 people injured during his stay at the hospital. He was sent home a year ago after small deliverances that were done at the hospital. Since that time, he has been under continuous mental health supervision, but the possession episodes have increased. When he goes into possession, he exhibits the following. Eyes turn black, arms from the top of his hands through his elbows become red and purple, and ooze clear liquid. His brow becomes heavy, his sneer comes to his face, and his voice changes. He has demonstrated superhuman strength, precognition, and reacts to holy objects and levitation. The home itself is located on the site with a high amount of Native American activity that has documented atrocities with it. There is also a belief that someone during the time of vacancy on the land may have conducted a ritual there. Documented there have been 5 hanging deaths associated with the property since 1940. 4 of those have occurred within the last 5 years. There is so much more, but I can't go into any further details with the case. A priest has been working with the family and feels that it is indeed, this is the most I've read in a while, so bear with me. A priest has been working with the family and feels that this is indeed a case of demonic possession. This Saturday evening, beginning at 7 p.m., that is June 13th, there will be individuals working to calm the land and bring it to peace and help Michael in the form of deliverance. I am writing to ask for help. On Saturday night, June 13th, will you please spend time in prayer for Michael, the family, and the individuals working there? Pray for their safety and deliverance from his oppression. Please send healing energy to the land, as this will help him to calm it and bring it peace. It doesn't matter your faith, your belief system. All the positive energy that can be sent is needed to help. If you know any others, please pass this along. Thanks, Dwayne Claw. And you can get in touch with him at www.dwayneclaud.com. That's DWAYNECLAUD.com.
So you remember this one, right?
Yeah, I do now. Well, I certainly am going to send out some prayers and good feelings.
And I remember when he was here, he was that was the one he was most concerned about. It sounds like it's even more downhill since.
Yeah.
And that's East Coast time zone, for those of you asking.
What time is it again?
7 p.m. 7 p.m. On the side of Ghosts and Ghoulies, while we're on it, I promised at the beginning of the show I'd give away some pizza. So I got DeCarlo's in the Grove.
How many we got there?
We got 5.
5.
I want to hear some ghost stories. Give us a call. 304-214-1600. 866-514-1600.
Of course, Pizza's local, but if you want to call us from anywhere, this is great.
Give us a call. Tell us your story. I want to hear some ghost stories, peeps.
That story just kind of bothers me. I mean, it's just... I mean, he's 12 years old, is that right? Yeah, you have the email in front of you.
13-year-old.
13-year-old. Looks, the couch and nurses, and it's scary.
Now, there's some big 13-year-old boys, but I mean, that's some big strength.
You're talking, I can lift a couch over my head.
All right, who we got, Lo?
This is CJ.
Hi, CJ. CJ, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Wheeling.
How you doing?
Not too bad. This didn't actually happen to me. It happened to my fiance. She was, we got a little thing where we burn, and we have a car parked there. And her grandfather just passed away.
Yeah.
And she come to me just shaking. I said, "What's wrong?" She says, "Oh, I'm putting stuff in the fire pit." She says, I heard something turn around. She said her grandfather was in the reflection of the car.
Oh, wow.
She turned around, looked everywhere, thought somebody was there, and she couldn't see anything.
Wow. Now, how long ago was this?
It's probably been about 2 years ago.
Anything ever happened after that?
No, that was the only incident.
How long after the death did this happen?
Oh, about a month.
Wow.
Could have been him trying, saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Just,
That's what I told her.
Yeah.
I mean, they were real close, so.
Yeah, this is the only time she's ever had any experiences like that?
No, that was the first time there.
Wow. Well, hopefully that's it. Would have freaked me out, though.
Well, yeah.
But it's nice to know that they can come back just to double check on us and make sure everything is okay, and then they go on their way.
Yeah, their last little hoorah, I guess.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting story.
Well, thank you very much for that, CJ.
CJ, I got you a 10 pieces of DeCarlo's from the Grove.
All right.
Okay, you going to stop by here and pick it up?
Probably not today.
Well, no,
Yeah,
anytime. You can
we-
come anytime.
We hold it for 30 days, so.
Okay.
All right.
All righty.
Thanks,
CJ.
Thanks.
Now that's interesting. Like, somebody in the reflection. See, I'm always scared because I live by myself. Like, the mirror in the bathroom.
Well,
if I walk into the bathroom, like, just have somebody already staring at me.
I could live in the Big Brother house and be scared out of death bath.
Well, the people that live in the Big Brother house.
I'd be afraid to see their reflection.
All right, this is Barb.
Hey, Barb.
Hey guys, good show tonight. I've enjoyed it.
Well, thank you.
I have it's not really a ghost story. It's just kind of weird. I've always been an animal lover. My dad used to tell me I could get along with a polar bear, and I work with animals now and everything. But my mom was on life support for 3 weeks, and when it came down to it, we knew she was going. Whole family gathered around. It was so morbid. They were just standing around her bed, and I said, I can't be here. So I went outside of the hospital, the only one who wasn't there. And I was sitting outside of the hospital, and I was out there for maybe 10 minutes, and this duck flew down and just started, like, pecking at my ankles, quacking, quacking, quacking. And I got up and went inside, and she had passed away.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, this doc was telling me, and it was so weird because, and I've talked to some people and they told me my mom sends me butterflies. And honestly, every time I'm very down in the dumps for some reason, in the winter, a butterfly picture will hit me in a magazine or something. In the summer, they're there. It's very weird. I really think there's a link between that. But that duck did not want me sitting there. It's so odd. So it's not really a ghost story, but I think it was my mom telling me that, okay. So, but anyway,
it's funny how little things like that would happen, and then you can connect them to.
Well, I would have sat there all afternoon until somebody came out and got me.
Yeah.
Till that duck made me get up.
Wow.
Well, you could have been a little nicer about it, not pecked your ankles all up.
Get
Well,
up, get
if
up.
I'd had like chips or something, and was, but I was just sitting there, and this thing just flew right into me. It was so weird.
I was telling you, it's time to get up and get back in there.
Get back in there, but
That's
I
right.
couldn't be in that room.
I
and
don't blame you.
Nobody could understand. They were all like, "Oh my gosh," I just could not be there.
No, I know exactly what you're saying with that.
So,
Exactly.
but that's my story.
Well, thank you, Barb.
All righty, guys.
Bye. See you, Barb.
Talk to you
You gonna
later.
give her pizza?
Yeah, Barb, you got a pizza.
Oh, thank
Alright.
you.
10 piece
Bye.
DeCarlos. I got it sitting here.
Jeez, that was just kind of mean.
I'm sorry. I was typing something in the chat room.
Stop the chat room.
It's hard.
If you're on the chat room right now, tell Jordan to stop talking.
No, see, you
You gotta pay attention to
you
the
say
show.
that I'm not a multitasker, but nay.
You're not a multitasker.
I know. I try though.
That's where it kind of reminded me of our grandfather, Jordan and I. When he passed away, the last person to get there was my mom, and I think she might have been traveling with your dad to get there. And my grandfather actually waited until everybody, that was close to him, all of his kids were in the room before he passed away. Once they got there, it was very shortly right after that. Actually, no, you know what? Who it was? It was his brother Larry. He was the last one to get there. He had to travel the farthest. As soon as he got into the room, he was able to get up and say bye. That's when he finally passed away. He held on that long, and everybody was there. Then he was gone.
See, I've heard stories like that, and I've also heard stories too where, it's been like, everybody there and in the room, and as soon as they're finally by themselves, like everybody goes to have coffee or to get something to eat, then they seem to pass. Like, oh wow, you guys are gone. All right, I'm done. But
It's
I've
time,
heard, but so many times I've heard that story though of people. They hang on until everybody that matters has had the opportunity to come and say goodbye.
It's amazing. We have 3 more left, right?
Yep, I got 3 more pizzas to give away and 10 more minutes of air. So if you guys want some, you got 10 pieces of DeCarlos.
Yes, everybody, come on, call. Keep me busy because I want to get home tonight.
So you're going home.
She doesn't necessarily want to get home because she's tired of us. She wants to get home because the Red Wings are playing here in a little bit.
Game 6. So you're cheering for the Detroit Red Wings.
Yes.
Everybody else in this area is cheering for the.
No, Biff is a Wings fan.
Really?
Leo is a Wings fan.
Uh-huh.
There's quite a few of us around.
Yeah. I when I was here last, Bill that Fabio gave me a Pens
sign,
which was disappeared from my car. I don't know exactly how, but
I want to say a week or so ago, Lady of the Night tried to pick up Nick here in the parking lot, and
no, we're not going into this.
And as we
were you solicited?
Nick was.
Yes, I was.
And
are you serious?
It wasn't
we
at
got
night. It was at noon during.
Well,
the
I
day.
didn't know what
Well,
else to say.
hey,
I called her
they
a
need to make
Lady
money
of the Night.
any time of the day.
But as we were getting out here, she was walking by. Nick was like,
They
"Oh
have
my
no
God."
hours. They have no hours. There's one chick that works the strip down here
We got a
between,
phone call?
right at, just past Wheeling Creek, as you're going like toward
This might be the
Center
same
Market.
one, yeah.
Yeah, it's a rough life.
I tell you.
Who we got on the phone?
Oh, it's fun. Or Susan. I'm sorry.
Hi, Susan.
I'm not Barb.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Oh, wonderful. You got a story for us?
Yes, I do. Everybody, my son, my husband, my daughter-in-law, they all say that my house is haunted.
Uh-huh.
My daughter-in-law said she was sleeping one night and she heard somebody call her name, and she woke up and there wasn't anybody there. My son said that one night he was over at a friend's house and he knew all the lights were out in the house and nobody else had been home, and he came home and every light in the house was on.
Wow.
And my husband says that he sees and hears people talking in the house.
Now, where exactly is the house again?
I'm sorry.
You're breaking up a little bit. Where's the house again? In Wheeling or?
No, it's in Brea.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're losing you a little bit with the cell phone. But that's pretty cool. That's always one of those things too. 'Cause like we were going to Williamsburg, I was afraid when we came home. We actually had one light on, and I know I turned that light off, but it was on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and my wife said, "Oh, you just must have forgot." I was like, "It was off. I always go and check, you know." Like,
Yeah.
Don't want to run up the bill, but oh well. That's always scary.
Yeah.
Well,
Doesn't
Susan,
scare me.
have you had anybody come in and actually try and communicate with
No.
whatever's there? Well, you should
No.
think about doing that. I mean, it'd be kind of interesting to see if, somebody could talk to dead people and, perhaps find out what's going on in your house.
Yeah, there's a lot of groups just here in the valley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that there were partners of the house that their son, when he was young, they used to take it put down to the river and unload coal on barges. And on that one day, and the cart got stuck in the horse and him and all drowned.
Oh man! Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he could be one of the ones hanging around. Seriously, though, Boy, if I were you, I would seriously think about, getting somebody to come in and do some type of an investigation for you. Because I would, if it were my house, I'd be wanting to know.
Yeah.
Well, I've been thinking it. I have thought about it. My daughter-in-law wants me to do it, and she says, "Go, let me come." And she says, "Go, let me come."
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's fun.
If that happens, let us know.
Yeah, keep us updated on that, Susan.
Yeah.
Hey, I got
sure
10 pieces of DeCarlo's from the Grove here if you'd like them.
Well, thank you.
A gift
Okay,
certificate.
just stop here and pick it up.
Put your name on it.
Okay.
All right, bye, Susan.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
All right, who else we got?
This is John.
John, how you doing?
Hey, how are you guys?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I liked listening to the Shadow Lady.
Yeah, that was an interesting take on it.
It was very interesting. All her opinions were kind of interesting. She had something to say every time you guys said something.
John, you're so diplomatic.
Well,
You're a
what I
nice
was gonna
guy.
say, the only reason what you want to think so, I didn't call. I haven't had anything wild happen to me since college, but I do scare myself every morning when I look in the
Yes,
mirror.
I get that one.
I'm taking. There's somebody behind you, or
No, it's just somebody right in the mirror. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just that thing. I have that problem too. That thing that looks right back at me in the morning scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, guy's got a lot of nerve, whoever he is.
yeah.
Hey, you guys have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
You too. Have a good one, John.
Bye-bye.
Alrighty then, we're almost out of time. Who is our guest next week, Mickey?
Bill
Murphy.
Bill Murphy. I don't want to say it wrong, so I wanted to read it. Bill Murphy, because every time I said it before, Jordan, Bill Murray. You want to say?
All right,
No,
All right,
Bill
no.
Murphy.
Can I say what he does?
Go ahead.
Brain transfer.
I know. I wanted to say it too.
Oh, that's
what
one of his.
hell is this?
Jordan wrote that, and that's not the only thing he works on. He actually, you're going to enjoy this, Lola.
Okay. From your lips to God's ear.
He's a paranormal investigator with the Southern California Paranormal Research Society. He also makes a lot of documentaries. One of them, which as soon as I say this, you're going to jump up and down and clap. So are you ready?
Oh.
Not you. You clap at everything. He did a documentary on Katrina, right after Katrina, called the biggest ghost town in the world or something like that.
Oh wow, that ought to be good.
And I think you're going to enjoy it. I know how much you love New Orleans, so it's going to be interesting. But that's next week, and I'll hopefully have some more guests wrangled up.
Okay. Well, I want to ask. I found that letter.
Okay,
I want to ask you guys if you have heard of orbs. Ohio researchers of banded spirits.
Banded?
Yeah, I don't know. Paranormal
B-A-N-D-E-D?
investigators. Yeah, banded, like Band-Aid, but banded.
Huh.
Yeah, they sent a letter, not to us.
Never to us.
I know.
We feel no love.
Wanting to do an investigation of the Capitol. So, I just wondered if you guys knew.
No, I don't know anything about those guys.
I've never heard. I think I've heard the name, but that's about it.
All right, if you know them, give us a call. Let us know what you think of them.
Well, they're nonprofit researchers in the field of paranormal studies.
Oh, they're all nonprofit
I
at this
know.
point.
Our team has investigated many historical places. We've just completed the Brunswick Heritage Farm and Sandusky County Museum. They like to go into old historical places, which of course we do too. And I think they must be close. Well, I don't know. A little documentary about them made in Marietta, Ohio. So anyway, I just wondered if you guys were familiar
Maybe
with
I'll get the
name.
phone number and give them a call. Maybe.
Dude, it's okay.
Okay, I guess not.
I love Lola.
I'll just have a drink of my Pepsi here.
Usurp our territory.
You want me to have? You want me
You
to have
don't
the
touch
boys?
our capital.
That's right.
Where's
You want
that
me to have?
Sammy?
Our
You
capital.
want me to have the boys go and give them a message?
Sammy the Bull?
Yeah, we could, couldn't we? Couldn't we? Well, it's our capital. We live here. We should be. We should be.
We do. We need to. We
They
need to
send
get
one
into
of
the
ours
capital.
to the hospital. We send one of theirs to the morgue.
That's right. Now you're starting to
Jeez,
think
don't
the
break
right
the
way.
table, nigga. Oh, that was an anger punch.
Mm-hmm.
All
No,
right.
I'm not doubting their abilities. I'm just, but people are really paying attention to the fact that the capital is being purchased by a private, so to speak, entity, and we need to
Get in it.
move on it. Yeah.
Maybe we can start hosting tours there.
First, we got to get in there and find something. We need to find something.
With the lovely Lola Miller as the producer of this show, we're going to get in there as many times as we want.
I've been talking to somebody every single morning.
See?
So. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
That's it for us this week, everybody. Bill Murphy.
Yep.
Next
Not
week.
Murray, not to be confused with Bill Murray.
Yeah. One day. One day. What about Bob? Till then, everybody, don't be afraid.
80 steps.
Only believe.